you could be anywhere doing a lot of different things, but you chose to be here.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. In a world filled with endless opportunities, why would two men who have built 13 multi-million-dollar businesses altruistically invest 5 hours per day to teach you the best practice business systems and moves that you can use? Because they believe in you, and they have a lot of time on their hands. They started from the bottom, now they're here. It's the Thrivetime show starring the former U.S. Small Business Administration's Entrepreneur of the Year, Clay Clark, and the entrepreneur trapped inside an optometrist's body, Dr. Robert Zuttner. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here.
Mr. Clyde started from the bottom, and now we're at the top, teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks. I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of 5, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the CNC up on your radio, and now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here. We started from the bottom, now we're here.
Okay, Thrive Nation, on today's show, I don't normally do this, but I'm going to dedicate this specific show to my daughter, my eldest daughter, Havana, because she was asking me, she said, Dad, what credit card should I get? And which ones give me points? Which kind of points do I want? Is cash back a good idea? Are airline miles a good idea? So a lot of times there's people who've paid the cost to become the boss, somebody who's put in the energy needed to become an expert in their given craft. And today's show is known as sort of like the credit card's reward points guy. The reward points guy, the credit card reward guy, the guy you want to know about. This guy has a newsletter that is thriving and ever growing. His name is Spencer Howard, and I encourage everyone, look him up. Spencer Howard. Someone says, what's that? Spencer Howard. Someone says, Spencer Howard? Who's it? Yeah, Spencer Howard. Look him up. This is the credit card rewards guy. He knows all things related to how to maximize the rewards you get by using your credit cards. And nothing any further ado, Spencer Howard, welcome onto the Thrivetime Show. How are you, sir?
Hey, thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, first off, how did you become the credit cards points guy?
Way too much reading. I always say that you can study a ton and learn everything you need to know, or you can just listen to me at this point. But I spent about 4 hours a night for 6 months learning everything you could ever want to know about airline routing rules, credit card benefits, credit card bonus categories, pretty much anything to help you travel with points and miles.
Now, when you think about points and miles, I think a lot of people, they say, well, I got a call from a guy, and I ran into someone at the mall. I was at the airport, and someone made me a pitch. And they said, hey, you want to get a Discover card? Hey, do you want to get an American Express card? And so I signed up, and they're kind of embarrassed to hear about how they got their credit card. They said, I was on a college campus. Yeah. Somebody came and hard pitched me on getting a Discover card, a MasterCard. I signed up. That's the card I've had for 20 years. What is the step one people need to take if they want to maximize the rewards they get from their credit cards?
Sure. It's a step back and don't listen to the people pitching you cards. There's nothing wrong with the cards they're pitching. I'm sure they're beneficial for lots of people. But if you want to really get the most out of your spend and then get travel out of it, you really want to take a step back and kind of plan for your travel before you jump in and start getting credit cards.
So let's say to my daughter, who's 20 years old, and she is in a place in her life where, she might go to concerts with her friends, and she has a job and works hard, and she tries to live below her means. What is the first step that she should take right now to find the right credit cards for her that will give her the most reward points?
Yeah, I always tell people to match their spending to bonus categories. So you can there are cards that'll earn just like 2x on everything. That's great. I think you should always be earning at least 2x points. But there's others that earn 3, 4, 5x. And it just depends where you're spending your money. If it's grocery stores or going to restaurants or gas stations, like there's cards that will help you earn 3, 4 points per dollar. And that's on top of any sign-up bonuses you can get from getting new cards.
Now, do you have a website that people can go to if they want to dive into your research, or where do you direct people to?
Yeah, straighttothepoints.co. I have a quick start guide there where people can read the basics and kind of get the foundational knowledge that you kind of need to know to get started in this world.
Straight to the points.co, straight to the points.co. What do you say to the business owners out there? A lot of our listeners have businesses where they put almost every purchase on credit cards, and thus they're spending millions of dollars a year on their credit cards or with their credit cards. What would you say to somebody out there who's a business owner?
Yeah, if you want to travel, business owners are in prime position when it comes to credit card points, just because of the spend you have to do to keep your business running. I have clients who, like you mentioned, spend millions of dollars a year on credit cards, and they just run into having points that they can then leverage for business and first class flights to, go to Europe, go to Asia, go to Australia, wherever.
And again, I think that most people are not doing your system by default. Most people are simply not leveraging their credit card reward points properly. Where do people get it wrong typically?
Yeah, I think there's people who want to travel, but they just don't think about what credit card they're using. So they'll get a cashback card, which is great. If you don't care about travel, get a cashback card, keep your life simple. But I think a lot of it's just not putting any thought into it at all at the beginning. And so for me, it's like if you're a business that has a lot of digital ad spend, there are cards that earn 3 and 4 points per dollar. Meanwhile, most people I know have a card that maybe earns 1 point per dollar, gets them 1% cash back, and they're just missing out on a ton of travel, honestly. And honestly, a ton of travel in like premium cabins. So it could be nice travel. It doesn't have to be a miserable experience.
Now, my understanding is that a large part of why you got into this industry is that you wanted to travel and you believed that travel didn't have to be something just for rich people. Could you tell us about your story?
Sure, yeah. I worked in politics for years and never really had any time off. And it was only in my last political job where they actually told us to take our time off, where I started trying to understand how I could do this better. For me, business and first class flights were out of my price range at the time and still often, and they still often are. But I think with points that you can earn just through day-to-day spending, especially business owners, you can access the same flights that somebody who can just pay cash for those. So it's not that you're going to fly business class every single time you travel, unless maybe you have a ton of points. But if so, great. But I think we all deserve a nice, relaxing experience rather than cramming ourselves into the back of a plane for 12 hours.
Now, I've heard you say on previous podcasts and gone to your website. Again, folks, that website is straighttothepoints.co, straighttothepoints.co, that really it's important to play chess with your reward points and not checkers. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, they earn some points and they just use them. And to them, it's just like, oh, let's just start using them. And that's great to an extent. But if you're booking an economy flight that's domestic and it would be only a couple $100 and you can afford that, I tend to say, like, why don't you save your points for the flights that would cost you an extraordinary amount of money? So like if you're going to Europe and you want to fly in business class, that's probably going to be more cost prohibitive than paying for an economy ticket domestically. And again, it always depends on someone's financial position, but I think that's one of the big keys, is just being able to think about what you're doing next. On the credit card side, though, it's also just thinking about which card you're getting based on your circumstances and which cards are going to help you get to the trip you want.
So I'm going to pull up your website here so people can kind of experience that and see it there. It's straighttothepoints.co, straighttothepoints.co. Can you kind of walk us through your website a little bit and tell us where people want to go or should go if they want to get this conversation going?
Yeah, if you're a complete beginner to this, there's a resources tab where you can get the quick start guide, or set up a point strategy call with me. But the quick start guide is where you can really kind of get that foundational knowledge to make all the things you're going to learn a little bit easier to understand. I always compare, I was a pitcher in baseball growing up, and I always compare it to learning how to pitch, where there's 5 basic steps. And when you're new, everything is like you feel every single one, you count them out, and it's difficult and it takes a lot of your energy. But by the time you've been doing it for a few years, it just kind of happens fluidly. But you have to learn those kind of foundational pieces to be able to do that. And that's where the quick start guide really helps.
Now, let's go back to the website here. Again, I'm trying to make this very practical for everybody out there who's not familiar with your work. Tell us about the other resources you have here at straighttothepoints.co.
Yeah, so the Award Alerts newsletter is kind of my day-to-day. I I learned several years ago when I was doing all this research that finding business and first class award space for multiple people is probably the toughest part in this game. Rather than make people bang their heads against their desk while searching, I decided to just keep an eye on award space and send out the exact dates that people can book, and then explain to them like what the best ways to use your points are to book those flights. For a little context on that, there's often multiple ways to book the same flight with different points and miles. It's just a game of arbitrage, figuring out which one will let you use the fewest points for the same flight.
How often do you travel?
Well, in the last 7 years, I probably spent about 3 months of each year abroad. So it's been quite a bit. Yeah.
As you've traveled around the world, where are some of the favorite places that you've gone to?
Sure. Taiwan is one of my favorites. I think it's a kind of a flies under the radar a bit. Most of the time when I say I love Taiwan, people say, "Oh, I love Thailand." And I'm like, "Oh, it's a great place too, and it also has great food, just a different place." But I really like Taiwan. I took a 2-week road trip through Germany. Thought that was beautiful. Going to the Black Forest is a wonderful way to spend the summer. So yeah, those are two of my favorites, but there's so many, let's be honest.
And are you traveling almost entirely with reward points at this point?
Flights especially. Yeah, that's where I prioritize using my points, just because I'm 6'3" and I want to lie down on flights. So flying in business class is fun.
Now, so let's get back to this here. Now, how did you get started with this? I mean, you're now like the world's expert of reward points. How did you gain traction with this idea? Or how did you know this was going to be really something you would focus on?
Yeah, so it was, I guess I started writing about points and miles about 9 months after I found that points existed. I realized I had crammed a ton of knowledge into my brain and I could help other people do the same thing. So I started doing that. And then through writing and hearing feedback from readers, I realized how much trouble people were having booking their families in business class with points. So that's where the newsletter stems from, is just hearing from readers.
So if I'm watching right now and I go, okay, I really want to get the most out of this, what's step 1, step 2, step 3 that you encourage all of our listeners to take today?
Yeah, step 1, check out the quick start guide. Just go through that, get a nice basic understanding of what's going on. And then 2, ask questions. We're all continuing to learn. You're never going to know everything. I answer tons of questions on Instagram. People DM me all the time, ask questions and comments on my post. And that's just the part of the learning process. And as you're doing that, I would say sign up for the free version of my newsletter. It gives you a sense of kind of what award space is out there and what you could book with your points. And I like to think that once you've done that for a little bit, you'll see why the paid version is a great option, since you'll get even more benefit out of it. But that's how I would go through it.
Are there any tropical places that you've been to where you'd say, wow, that was something everybody should see?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mostly go to like Southeast Asia. I'm not really a Caribbean person. Maybe I should learn to relax, but I love going places where I can get out and explore and try food and meet people. So Thailand has kind of a combination of both, where you can go to the beach, or you can go through the city of Bangkok, or you can go to the jungle in Chiang Mai. So you have a lot of options in Thailand, I think.
Now, my understanding is that you have the belief that everybody watching today's show can benefit by plugging into your system. What would you say to the doubters out there?
We were all doubters at one point. I'll be honest. Like, I thought credit cards were for fools when I was younger, because to me, it was just like, oh, you're just going in debt. And it was only when I realized that you can treat credit cards like debit cards and pay them off on time all the time that you can just reap some benefits from what you're spending on. I mean, you can pay with cash, but you don't earn any points that gives you something back in the back end. So yeah, that's kind of what I tell people.
And where are you most consistently putting out content there on your site, or do you maintain a podcast, or is the newsletter coming out weekly, or how often do you update people that choose to engage with you?
Yeah, so the newsletter, I send 3 to 5 alerts per week. I've always maintained that I'm not going to send you something just to say that I've sent you something. I'm more about showing the value rather than just showing that I'm here. And I also do a lot of content on Instagram, whether it's posts or stories. I'm just really active on Instagram.
Now, a lot of times when I interview wonderful entrepreneurs, last week we interviewed the gentleman who helped to co-found the Yeezy brand, Kanye West's Yeezy brand. And I asked him this question. I'll ask you the same thing. I always ask people, when you hop off a podcast, sometimes you say, I wish the host would have asked me this, or man, I wish the host would have brought up this subject. What's on your heart right now that you really want to get out to the world that may be watching right now and taking notes?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I would say just start. You don't have to rush in full speed. It's okay to just kind of take your time and figure things out. Yeah, just be methodical. It's a game. It's complicated, but it's not as complicated as you think once you just start learning each piece. Everything you learn is going to build off of what you've learned before. So it's actually more manageable than it seems.
So if you were talking to my 20-year-old daughter right now, she's 20 years old. She has certain credit cards that she got, that offered reward points of some kind or cash back of some kind. What would be the action steps that you would encourage her to take?
Yeah, get a good understanding of your credit score. Make sure you know what that is. That's kind of a foundational piece of being able to play this game. I always tell people you want to see a credit score of 700, maybe 720 plus. And then from there, think about the income you're making, ask questions of people who've been at it for a while, and see which cards you probably can get approved for right now. If you're a student at like 20 years old, sometimes you need to get a student credit card to start. Other times, if you already have some income, it sounds like your daughter's already making some money, she may be able to kind of jump right into the travel rewards game.
And where are the credit cards that you would recommend? Where can we go to see the different credit cards that are available?
Sure. I maintain a list of the best card offers on my site that I update as often as I can, honestly. And anytime somebody points out to me that they found a better offer out there, I try to update that as well. So
this is right here, straight to the points.co. We go here, we click on credit cards, travel credit cards. We click there, and these are the cards you're referencing?
Yep. There's a ton of them.
Okay. And these are the ones that you have sort of vetted and said, hey, these are ones you should check out.
Yep. These are the offers that I move the offers around based on, what's coming out. Offers change. Always remember that. It's not the same offer today as it is tomorrow. So I try to keep on top of that so that other people don't have to.
Now, why are some of these credit cards offering or asking for or requiring an annual fee where some of them don't?
Sure. I would say that most of the best cards you're going to find are going to ask for an annual fee. To me, it's a cost benefit analysis. It's kind of simple math. If it's giving you more benefit than it's costing you, then it might be a card that's worth keeping. But a lot of people in this space, I'll tell you, we get lots of credit cards because you're never going to earn points faster than a new credit card sign-up bonus. But yeah, it's all about figuring out how you want to play this game. You don't have to get tons of credit cards. It's just a matter of finding what works for you.
So you're saying that most of the cards that offer the most rewards do require some kind of fee?
Yep, absolutely. And they generally come with lots more benefits as well, like no foreign transaction fees. Some come with some sort of airport lounge access. Trip delay protection in case, I have a credit card that if the Chase Sapphire Reserve, if my flight is delayed by 6 hours or more, or I have to spend the night or I have to stay a night to get the new flight, they'll cover up to $500 for what they call reasonable expenses, which is like a hotel, an Uber, food, whatever. So it's one of those things where it's, you definitely pay more, but depending on your travel habits, the annual fees can definitely be worth it.
Now, Spencer, I totally want to respect your time today, so I'll let you have the final word here, the final 60 seconds we have here together. What's the message you want to convey to all of our listeners right now who are listening in and taking notes?
Sure. It's business class and first class flights on international routes are possible for a lot of us. And I think if you just put a little effort in up front, you can reap huge rewards from playing the points game.
Spencer, thank you so much for your time. Again, that website is straighttothepoints.co, straighttothepoints.co, and we look forward to having you on again there, sir.
Clay, thanks so much for having me.
Take care, brother.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
Okay, Aaron Antis, March 6th and 7th. March 6th and 7th, guess who's coming to Tulsa, Jerusalem?
Ooh, Santa Claus?
No, that's March 6th and 7th.
Oh.
We're going to be joined by Robert Kiyosaki.
Robert Kiyosaki.
Best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, probably the best-selling or one of the best-selling business authors of all time. And he's going to be joined with Eric Trump. He'll be joined by Eric Trump. So we got Eric Trump and Robert Kiyosaki in the same place. Aaron, why should everybody show up to hear Robert Kiyosaki?
Well, you got billions of dollars of business experience between those two, not to mention many, many, many millions of books have been sold. Many, many millionaires have been made from the books that have been sold by Robert Kiyosaki. I happen to be one of them. I learned from the man. He was the inspiration. That book was the inspiration for me to get the entrepreneurial spirit, as many other people.
Now, since you won't brag on yourself, I will. You've sold billions of dollars of houses, am I correct?
That is true.
And the book that kickstarted it all for you,
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the author, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, the guy that kickstarted your career.
Yeah.
He's going to be here.
He's going to be here. I'm pumped.
And now Eric Trump, people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. There's not 50 employees. The Trump organization, again, most people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. And while Donald J. Trump was the 45th president of these United States and soon to be the 47th president of these United States, he needed someone to run the companies for him. And so the man that runs the Trump organization for Donald J. Trump, as he was the 45th president of the United States and now the 47th president of the United States, is Eric Trump. And so Eric Trump is here to talk about time management, promoting from within, marketing, branding, quality control, sales systems, workflow design, workflow mapping, how to build. I mean, everything that you see, the Trump hotels, the Trump golf courses, all their products, the man who manages billions of dollars of real estate and thousands of employees is here to teach us how to do it.
You are talking about one of the greatest brands on the planet from a business standpoint.
Right.
I mean, who else has been able to create a brand like the Trump brand? I mean, look at it. And this is the man behind the business for the last pretty much since 2015. He's been the man behind it. So you're talking, we're into 9 going into 10 years of him running it, and we get to tap into that knowledge. That's going to be amazing.
Now, think about this for a second. Would you buy a ticket just to see Robert Kiyosaki and Eric Trump? Of course you would.
Of course you would.
But we're also going to be joined by Sean Baker. This is the best-selling author, the guy who invented the carnivore diet.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Sean Baker. He's been on Joe Rogan multiple times. He's going to be joining us. So you've got Robert Kiyosaki, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Eric Trump, Sean Baker. The lineup continues to grow, and this is how we do our tickets here at the Thrivetime Show. If you want to get a VIP ticket, you can absolutely do it. It's $500 for a VIP ticket. We've always done it that way. Now, if you want to take a general admission ticket, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. And the reason why I do that, and the reason why we do that is because we want to make our events affordable for everybody. I grew up without money. I totally understand what it's like to be in a tight spot. So if you want to attend, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. That's how I do it. And it's $500 for a VIP ticket. Now, we only have limited seating here. With the most people we've ever had in this building was for the Jim Brewer presentation. Jim Brewer came here, the legendary comedian Jim Brewer came to Tulsa, and we had 419 people that were here. 419 people.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, there's no more room. I felt kind of bad that if a couple people had VIP seats in the men's restroom. No, I'm just kidding. But I thought, you know what, we should probably add on. So we're adding on what we call the upper deck, or the top shelf. So the seats are very close to the presenters, but we're actually building right now. We're adding on to the facility to make room to accommodate about another 30 attendees or more. So again, if you want to get tickets for this event, all you have to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. When you go to thrivetimeshow.com, you'll go there, you'll request a ticket, boom. Or if you want to text me, if you want a little bit faster service, you say, I want you to call me right now. Just text my number. It's my cell phone number, my personal cell phone number. We'll keep that private between you, me, everybody. We'll keep that private. And anybody, don't share that with anybody except for everybody. That's my private cell phone number. It's 918-851-0102. 918-851-0102. I know we have a lot of Spanish-speaking people that attend these conferences, and to be bilingually sensitive, my cell phone number is 918-851-0102. 02.
That is not actually bilingual. That's just saying Juan for a one. It's not the same thing.
I think you're attacking me. Now, let's talk about this. Now, what kind of stuff will you learn at the Thrivetime Show workshop? So, Aaron, you've been to many of these over the past 7-8 years. So let's talk about it. I'll tee up the thing, and then you tell me what you're going to learn here, okay?
Okay.
You're going to learn marketing and branding. What are we going to learn about marketing and branding?
Oh, yeah. We're going to dive into, so many people say, oh, I got to get my brand known out there, like the Trump brand, right? You want to get that brand out there. It's like, how do I actually make people know what my business is and make it a household name? You're going to learn some intricacies of how you can do that.
You're going to learn sales. So many people struggle to sell something. This just in, your business will go to hell if you can't sell. So we're going to teach you sales. We're going to teach you search engine optimization, how to come up top in the search engine results. We're going to teach you how to manage people. Aaron, you have managed, no exaggeration, hundreds of people throughout your career and thousands of contractors. And most people struggle with managing people. Why does everybody have to learn how to manage people?
Well, because first of all, you either have great people or you have people who suck. And so it can be a challenge. Learning how to work with a large group of people and get everybody pulling in the same direction can be a challenge. But if you have the right systems, you have the right processes, and you're really good at selecting great ones, and we have a process we teach about how to find great people. When you start with the people who have a great attitude, they're teachable, they're driven, all of those things, then, you can get those people all pulling in the same direction.
So we're going to teach you branding, marketing, sales, search engine optimization. We're going to teach you accounting. We're going to teach you personal finance, how to manage your finance. We're going to teach you time management. How do you manage your time? How do you get more done during a typical day? How do you build an organization if you're not organized? How do you do organization? How do you build an org chart? Everything that you need to know to start and grow a business will be taught during this 2-day interactive business workshop. Now, let me tell you how the format is set up here. And again, folks, this is a 2-day interactive 15. Think about this, folks. It's 2 days. Each day it starts at 7 a.m. and it goes until 5 p.m. So from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., 2 days. It's a 2-day interactive workshop. The way we do it is we do a 30-minute teaching session, and then we break for 15 minutes for a question and answer session. So, Aaron, what kind of great stuff happens during that 15-minute question and answer session after every teaching session?
I actually think it's the best part about the workshops, because here's what happens. I've been to lots of these things over the years. I've paid many thousands of dollars to go to them. And you go in there and they talk in vague generalities, and they're constantly upselling you for something, trying to get you to buy this thing or that thing or this program or this membership. And you leave not getting your very specific questions answered about your business or your employees or what you're doing on your marketing. And what's awesome about this is we literally answer every single question that any person asks, and it's very specific to what your business is.
And what we do is we allow you as the attendee to write your questions on the whiteboard. And then we literally, as you mentioned, we answer every single question on the whiteboard. And then we take a 15-minute break to stretch and to make it entertaining when you're stretching. And this is a true story. When you get up and stretch, you'll be greeted by mariachis. There's going to probably be alpaca here, llamas, helicopter rides, a coffee bar, a snow cone. There's just...
You had a crocodile one time. That was pretty interesting.
I should write that down and actually do that.
Sorry for that one guy that we lost.
The crocodile, we duct taped its face so that we duct taped.
No, it was a baby crocodile.
And it was duct tape.
Yeah, duct tape around the mouth so it didn't bite anybody. But it was really cool passing that thing around and
I should do that. We have a small petting zoo that will be assembled. It's going to be great. And then you're in the company of hundreds of entrepreneurs. So there's not a lot of people in America today. In fact, there's less than 10 million people today, according to U.S. Debt Clock, that identify as being self-employed. So if you have a country with 350 million people, that means you have less than 3% of our population that's even self-employed. So you only have 3 out of every 100 people in America that are self-employed to begin with. And when Inc. magazine reports that 96% of businesses fail by default, you have a 1 out of 1,000 chance of succeeding in the game of business. But yet the average client that you and I work with, we can typically double this. And this is no hyperbole. No exaggeration. And I have thousands of testimonials to back this up. We have thousands of testimonials to back it up. But when you work with a home builder, when I work with a business owner, we can typically double the size of the company within 24 months.
Yeah.
Double. And you say double? Yeah, there's businesses that we have tripled. There's businesses we've grown 8x. There's so many examples you can see at thrivetimeshow.com. But again, this is the most interactive, best business workshop on the planet. This is objectively the highest rated and most reviewed business workshop on the planet. And then you add to that Robert Kiyosaki, the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You add to that Eric Trump, the man that runs the Trump Organization. You add to that Sean Baker. Now you might say, but Clay, is there more? I need more. Well, okay, Tom Wheelwright is the wealth strategist for Robert Kiyosaki. So people say, Robert Kiyosaki, who's his financial wealth advisor? Who's the guy who manages, who's his wealth strategist? His wealth strategist, Tom Wheelwright, will be here. And you say, Clay, I'm not going to get a ticket unless you give me more. Okay, fine. We're going to serve you the same meal both days. True story. We cater in the food, and because I keep it simple, I literally bring in the same food both days for lunch. It's Ted Escondido's, an incredible Mexican restaurant. That's going to happen. And Jill Donovan, our good friend, who is the founder of Rustic Cuff. She started that company in her home, and now she sells millions of dollars of apparel and products. That's rusticcuff.com. And someone says, I want more. This is not enough.
Give me more.
Okay. I'm not going to mention their names right now because I'm working on it behind the scenes here. But we've got one guy who's given me a verbal to be here. And this is a guy who's one of the wealthiest people in Oklahoma, and nobody really knows who he is because he's built systems that are very utilitarian, that offer a lot of value. He's made a lot of money in the it's where you rent. It's short term. It's where you're renting storage spaces. He's a storage space guy. He owns what do you call that? The rental,
storage space,
storage units. This guy owns storage units. He owns railroad cars. He owns a lot of assets that make money on a daily basis, but they're not like customer facing. Most people don't know who owns the mini storage facility, or most people don't know who owns the warehouse that's passively making money. Most people don't know who owns the railroad cars, but this guy, he's given me a verbal that he will be here, and we just continue to add more and more success stories. So if you're out there today and you want to change your life, you want to give yourself an incredible gift, you want a life-changing experience, you want to learn how to start and grow a company, go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go there right now, thrivetimeshow.com. Request a ticket for the 2-day interactive event. Again, the day here is March 6th and 7th. March 6th and 7th, we just got confirmation. Robert Kiyosaki, best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he'll be here. Eric Trump, the man who leads the Trump Organization. It's going to be a blasty blast. There's no upsells. Aaron, I could not be more excited about this event.
I think it is incredible. And there's somebody out there right now, you're watching and you're like, but I already signed up for this incredible other program called Smoke Your Way to Thin. I think that's going to change your life. I promise you this will be 10 times better than that.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking.
Don't do the Smoke Your Way to Thin conference. That is, I've tried it. Don't do it.
Yeah, chain smoking is not a viable. I mean, it is life-changing. It is life-changing. If you become a chain smoker, it is life-changing.
Not the best weight loss program, though.
Right, really. So if you're looking to have life-changing results in a way that won't cause you to have a stoma, get your tickets at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's Aaron Antis. I'm Clay Clark, and reminding you and inviting you to come out to the 2-day interactive Thrive Time Show workshop right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I promise you it will be a life-changing experience. We can't wait to see you right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma.